Dear students, yesterday we studied about solubility and the factors affecting solubility. We know that the factors which are affecting the solubility are nature of solute and solvent, temperature and pressure. So, in case of solute as well as a solvent, we have to take a proper solvent for a solute. So polar solute will be dissolved in polar solvent, non-polar solute will be dissolved in non-polar solvent. Second one, temperature. For an endothermic process, temperature increases, solubility increases. For an exothermic process, temperature increases, solubility decreases. This is the general trend. In today's class, we discuss about variation of solubility with the temperature for a solution having gaseous solute in a liquid solvent. So we are going to prepare a solution using gaseous solute molecules in liquid solvent. So take a solute in gaseous phase. When it is dissolved in liquid solvent, the solubility value decreases with increase of temperature. Okay. So here we are not considering endothermic or exothermic. Generally, when gaseous solute is dissolved in liquid solvent, when temperature increases, solubility decreases. We have to know what is the reason for that. So when a gaseous solute is dissolved in liquid solvent, there will be an attraction between solute and solvent. We call it as intermolecular forces of attraction. So there should be an interaction between the gaseous molecules and the solvent molecules. There will be an interaction, and this will be very weak force of interactions like a dispersion force or van der Waals force, like that. So this interaction will be disturbed when temperature is increased. So due to the increase of temperature, the kinetic energy of all the molecules are increased. We have solute particles as well as solvent particles. The kinetic energy of all the molecules of a solution will be increased. So due to this increase of kinetic energy, the collisions will be more between the molecules, thereby the intermolecular forces present between solute and the solvent will be broken. Okay. So solubility decreases with increase of temperature for this type of solution because kinetic energy of all the molecules increased, collisions are increased. So the interaction between the solute particles and the solvent particles will be disturbed and it is broken. And one more thing, most of this type of solutions, so they are forming as an exothermic process. When a gas is dissolved in water, mostly this will be exothermic. We cannot say all, mostly it will be an exothermic process. So solubility decreases with increase of temperature. What is a simple example for a gas in liquid type of solution? Soda water. So carbon dioxide gas is dissolved in water, it forms carbonic acid. It's called aerated water, called soda water. Okay. So this is about temperature on solubility. How the solubility value is affected by temperature. For solid and liquid, we have already studied yesterday. For gas and liquid, this is the general trend. For a solution prepared by mixing gas in a liquid solvent, solubility decreases with increase of temperature. So the final factor which affect solubility is pressure. So what is the effect of pressure on solubility? So we may take solid dissolved in liquid or liquid dissolved in liquid. So we take these two type of solutions. Effect of pressure will not make anything. Okay. So the pressure will not change anything in these two type of solutions. You may add sodium chloride in water or alcohol in water. In these two dissolution process, pressure will not make any changes because the molecules are closely packed, they are incompressible in nature. But think about gas dissolved in liquid solvent. So here pressure is playing a major role. When carbon dioxide is dissolved in water, we prepare carbonated water. So pressure is increased, solubility will be increased. By increasing the pressure, more amount of gaseous molecules will be dissolved in water. So solubility is directly proportional to the pressure for this type of solutions. Okay. So solubility of gases increases with increase of pressure in a liquid solvent. We have to know what is the reason for that. During the dissolution process, dissolution is the process of dissolving gaseous solute in liquid solvent. During this process, some of the gaseous molecules are dissolved, some of the gaseous molecules are present in undissolved position. Okay, so there will be an equilibrium between these two. Gaseous solute will be dissolved and some of the gaseous molecules will be present as gaseous molecule without dissolving. So equilibrium will be attained between these two. Okay, so during the dissolution process, an equilibrium is attained between the undissolved gaseous solute molecules and the dissolved gaseous molecules. So according to Le-Chatelier's principle, when we make a disturbance in the equilibrium, then equilibrium will be shifted towards any one side to balance the disturbance. Okay. So by increasing the pressure, we are disturbing the equilibrium. So in the dissolution of gas in liquid solvent, equilibrium is attained. We are disturbing the equilibrium by increasing the pressure. So that equilibrium will be shifted towards one particular side to balance the disturbance. Left hand side, if more pressure, equilibrium will be shifted towards right hand side. Okay, so the equilibrium will be shifted towards one side which is having low pressure. So during the dissolution process, if we increase the pressure, reactant pressure will be more, product side pressure is less, so that equilibrium is shifting towards the forward side to balance the disturbance, to equate the pressure on both sides. Okay, so equilibrium is shifting towards product side. Forward side means more amount of gaseous molecules will be dissolved. So due to this shifting of equilibrium, more gaseous molecule will be dissolved in solvent. So increase of pressure increases solubility. So with this, factors affecting solubility over. First point, nature of solute and solvent. Second point, temperature. Third point, pressure. All the three we have completed. Next we move into the another one, Henry's law. This you already studied in 10th. So the scientist Henry investigated many solutions, particularly gas dissolved in liquid solvent, and he found that the partial pressure of gas is directly proportional to the mole fraction of the gas in that solution. For every gaseous molecule there is a pressure. Okay, if you take a container having 3 gaseous molecules, means for each gaseous molecule there will be a particular pressure, we call it as partial pressure. Okay, so the partial pressure of gaseous molecule is directly proportional to the mole fraction of the gaseous solute particle in that solvent or solution. This is called Henry's law. Okay. So according to Henry's law, partial pressure of solute is directly proportional to the mole fraction of solute in a solution, and we can remove this proportionality by introducing a constant kh. So this is proportionality constant, or we can call it as empirical constant. and this empirical constant is depending on the nature of solute as well as solvent. Okay, this empirical constant kh is depending on the nature of gaseous solute as well as liquid solvent molecules. Next, we may draw a graph between mole fraction and partial pressure. Okay. The mole fraction can be taken in x-axis, partial pressure can be taken in y-axis. Both are directly proportional so that we get a straight line. By drawing a graph between partial pressure and the mole fraction, we will get a straight line, and the straight line will obey the straight line equation y is equal to mx plus c. So with the help of slope, we will calculate a value. So the kh value, the proportionality constant or the empirical constant kh is obtained from the slope value of this straight line. Okay, what is the limitations of Henry's law? Henry's law deals with gaseous solute molecules dissolved in liquid solvent, and its limitations are this is applicable for only moderate temperatures and pressures. Okay. Henry's law is applicable for only moderate temperature as well as pressure. Then less soluble gases can be explained with the help of Henry's law. Less soluble gases alone will obey the Henry's law. And the third limitation is this is not applicable for solute particles which are making a reaction with the solvent. So during the dissolution process, some of the solute particles will react with the solvent particles. So that type of particles will not obey the Henry's law. You take ammonia or hydrochloric acid. So when ammonia is dissolved in water, it will become ammonium hydroxide, but there will be a reaction. Between the ammonia and the water, there will be a reaction to become ammonium ion and hydroxide ion. Between these two, force of attraction will be there, so we get ammonium hydroxide. So for molecules like ammonia, Henry's law will not be applicable. The next point is the solute particle which should not dissociate or associate with the solvent particle. Okay. The solute should not associate or dissociate with the solvent molecule. So these are the limitations of Henry's law, and which is applicable only for gaseous solute molecules in liquid solvent. And based on Henry's law, we have a problem. So Henry's law says partial pressure of a solute particle is directly proportional to the mole fraction of solute in that solution. To remove the proportionality, we introduce kh. So the question is 0.24 gram of gas dissolves in 1 liter of water at 1.5 atmospheric pressure. Calculate the amount of dissolved gas when pressure is 6 atmospheric pressure at constant temperature. So two different pressures are there, 1.5 as well as 6. So according to Henry's law, P is equal to kh. P is the partial pressure, kh is the constant, x is the mole fraction. Okay. So we take equation 1, P1 is equal to kh x1. So this is the equation for pressure 1.5 atmospheric pressure. Then at pressure 6 P2 is equal to kh x2. So we just divide equation 1 by 2 by rearranging it. P1 by P2 is equal to x1 by x2. P1, P2 values have already given in the question paper. P1 is 1.5 atmospheric pressure, P2 is 6 atmospheric pressure. So when the pressure is 1.5 atmospheric pressure, how much gases are dissolved? 0.24 gram. When we maintain low pressure 1.5, 0.24 gram gases are dissolved in a solvent. Now we increase the pressure up to 6. At 6 atmospheric pressure, how much gas will be dissolved? That we have to calculate. So X2 is equal to 0.96 gram per liter. So this problem is based on Henry's law. So next we move into vapor pressure. So in lower classes we already studied evaporation process and condensation process of a liquid. So liquid will be evaporated to become a vapor, and the vapors can be condensed to get liquid. So these two processes are common, we already studied. Okay. So consider a liquid. The liquid is heated to evaporate. Thereby, kinetic energy of the liquid molecules will be increased. Due to the increase of kinetic energy of the liquid molecules, intermolecular forces are broken. You take water. When we heat water to 100 degrees Celsius, it becomes water vapor. What happens? So when the temperature reaches 100 degrees Celsius, the kinetic energy is greater than the intermolecular force. In water, hydrogen bonding is there, intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Comparing that, the kinetic energy will be more, so that water molecules are converted from liquid state into gaseous state. So the process is called evaporation process, and this is taking place on the surface of the liquid. So the formed vapors can be converted into liquid again by condensation process. That means we have to reduce the temperature. By cooling, we convert this into liquid again. Okay. So if the condensation is done, it becomes liquid, or we may do evaporation in a closed container. Okay. So take liquid water in a closed container. At 100 degrees Celsius, it becomes vapor. But both liquid and vapors will be in the container at 100 degrees Celsius. When temperature reduces until it reaches a room temperature, it becomes liquid again. So when we do evaporation in a closed container, liquid as well as vapors are in the same container. The formed vapors, take water vapors, they are continuously moving here and there. Liquid water means will be present as such. When temperature reaches 100 degrees Celsius, liquid water becomes water vapors. They are moving here and there. Randomly they are moving. So there will be much collisions between the water molecules, or between the water molecule and the wall of the container. Collisions will be more. All the water molecules will collide with each other and the wall of the container. Thereby they lose their energy. So energy losses, it becomes again liquid. The process is called condensation process. Okay. So forward process is evaporation. Reverse process is condensation process. Okay. So when we do these two in a closed container, an equilibrium will exist between these two processes. Forward reaction is evaporation, reverse reaction is condensation. So if this is done in a closed container, an equilibrium will exist between the evaporation and the condensation. Okay. So these two are continuous process when we carried out in closed system. Okay. In a closed container, when we do it, an equilibrium will be attained. That means the rate of evaporation will be equal to the rate of condensation. So both reactions are taking place simultaneously with equal rate. So we attained equilibrium. At this situation, the pressure experienced by the vapor in the container. So in the container we have both liquid as well as vapor. So how much pressure is experienced by the vapor when it is in equilibrium with the liquid? It is called vapor pressure. Okay, this is the definition of vapor pressure. So for every liquid there is a vapor pressure. So the pressure of the vapor which is in equilibrium with its liquid is called vapor pressure, right? And this vapor pressure of a liquid is depending on nature, temperature and the surface area. Then a simple experiment is given to measure the vapor pressure of a liquid. So we take a round bottom flask. The liquid is taken in the round bottom flask. For example, it may be water. The round bottom flask is in a closed position and we have a delivery tube. In the delivery tube, which is U-shaped and containing mercury, okay, to measure the pressure, we have mercury in the delivery tube, which is having U shape. So we heat it. The liquid water is heated. When it reaches 100 degrees Celsius, water vapors will come out. And the coming water vapor will displace the mercury in the U-shaped tube. So based on the displacement of mercury, we can find the vapor pressure of water. This is the simplest method. We have to find what is the difference in the level of mercury. With the help of that, vapor pressure of any liquid like water can be calculated. This is a simple experiment. So next, calculation of vapor pressure for a solution having miscible liquids. Henry's law we studied already. Partial pressure is directly proportional to the mole fraction. This is applicable for gaseous solute in a liquid solvent. Now the same type of a principle is going to be studied, but here we are going to find partial pressure or vapor pressure of liquid solutions. Solute and solvent both are liquids which are miscible in nature, easily mix with each other. Okay. So when we prepare a solution using two component, it is called a binary solution. As we studied in 10th, we have only one solute, one solvent means it is called a binary solution. More than two components are there. It will have a different name. Okay. For example, three components present in a solution. It's called a ternary solution. Okay. So binary solution is a solution made up of two components. So here we take liquid solutions. Component A is a liquid, component B is a liquid. Component A may be a solute, component B may be a solvent. Okay. So liquid and liquid type of solution is considered here. Only two components A and B. So this is a binary solution. And the scientist Raoult, okay. So Raoult proposed that vapor pressure of the liquid, that means partial pressure, okay. Vapor pressure of the liquid is directly proportional to the mole fraction of that liquid in the solution. Okay, so this is also like Henry's law. So when we take two miscible volatile liquids as a solution, the partial vapor pressure of each component is directly proportional to the mole fraction of that component. Okay. So according to Raoult's law, partial vapor pressure or simply vapor pressure of a component is directly proportional to the mole fraction of that component. So we may take component A. Partial pressure of component A is taken as PA. Mole fraction of component A is taken as XA. To remove the proportionality, we introduce a constant. So PA is equal to KXA. So here K is the proportionality constant. Okay. So according to Raoult's law, vapor pressure is directly proportional to the mole fraction of that component. Consider mole fraction is 1. When the mole fraction is 1, K value is equal to So when mole fraction is 1, what will be the K value? K value is equal to PA. So we may write it as PA naught. It's called a partial pressure of pure component A. The same way we may apply this for another component B. So we know that K is equal to PA naught. You substitute in the equation. PA is equal to K XA. Instead of K, we substitute PA naught. The same way, for another component B, we may write PB is equal to K XB. K value is equal to PB naught. So PB is equal to PB naught XB. And in the gaseous state, we already studied Dalton's law of partial pressure, which says total pressure is equal to the sum of partial pressure of components in the container. So we have two components in the solution, component A and B. Total pressure is the sum of components in the solution. Okay, partial pressure of component A plus partial pressure of component B. So we already calculated PA and PB value with the help of Raoult's law. PA is equal to PA naught XA, PB is equal to PB naught XB. So substitute these two values in equation 9.6, we will get 9.7. And we already studied in the beginning of this lesson, you just add mole fraction of both the components, the total value will be 1. Mole fraction of component A plus mole fraction of component B. Add mole fraction of both the components, the value will be 1. So from this we can calculate mole fraction. XA is equal to 1 minus XB. XB means 1 minus XA. Based on this we may calculate the unknown mole fraction also. Okay. So total pressure is the sum of partial pressure of component A, partial pressure of component B. We know that total pressure is equal to PA naught XA plus PB naught XB. So instead of XA, we have written 1 minus XB. We know that XA plus XB is equal to 1. So XA means 1 minus XB. And you just rearrange it. We get the equation. Total pressure is equal to partial pressure of pure component A plus XB multiplied by partial pressure of pure component B minus partial pressure of pure component A. So we may draw a graph between these two factors. One is vapor pressure, another one is mole fraction. We draw a graph. Straight line will be obtained. Both are directly proportional. So mole fraction is taken in the x-axis, vapor pressure is taken in the y-axis. We get a straight line. So this will obey the straight line equation. Y is equal to mx plus c. So from the straight line, we take a slope. The slope value is equal to PB naught minus PA naught, and the intercept value is equal to PA naught. Okay. So an example is given. For liquid solutions, an example is given. Solute is toluene, solvent is benzene. By mixing this miscible liquids, we will get liquid solution. For this, we may draw a graph. We will get a straight line. Okay. So this is the variation of pressure with the mole fraction of solution for solvent benzene as well as solute toluene. This is the variation. So equation can be slightly rearranged. Instead of component A and B, we may mention it as toluene and benzene. Wherever you find component A, mention toluene. Wherever you find component B, you mention it as benzene. Okay. So this is the rearranged Raoult's law equation. Okay. So today we have completed the effect of temperature in the dissolution of gas in liquid water or liquid solvent. Second thing, effect of pressure in a solution. When gases are dissolved in liquid, pressure increases, solubility increases. Next thing, Henry's law. It says partial pressure of the solute is directly proportional to the mole fraction of solute. And what are the limitations? Next thing, we consider liquid binary solutions. Liquid solute is dissolved in liquid solvent. For this type of solution also, vapor pressure is directly proportional to the mole fraction of that component in the solution. And we have to know what is vapor pressure. We explained what is vapor pressure. Okay. So based on Raoult's law, the final equation is obtained. This is an important question. With this today's class over, tomorrow we will discuss about vapor pressure of solution containing solid and liquid. When solid is dissolved in liquid, what about the vapor pressure of the liquid? That will be discussed tomorrow. Thank you.